Hi everyone, this is Barton, and today I'm going to walk you through SaaSCG's net retention architecture. You may refer to this as other things such as ARR, Snowball tracking, ARR waterfall, churn reporting, etc. It's essentially all of those things. So I'll dive into the agenda. Up first, I wanted to introduce our account products functionality. Think of this as level one of ARR reporting. And then I'll introduce our ARR change events, which is level two. And this unlocks even more reporting out of your Salesforce org. Both of these are unmanaged packages by SCG, but they work together with ARR change events being an add-on. Next, I'll review our logical definitions of ARR breakdown so that you can see the understanding of how our Salesforce reporting operates on that data. And then finally, our prerequisites and considerations of installing these packages. So account products, as the name implies, it's the intersection of what products your customers purchase. And it is an effect of CPQ transactions or subscriptions that take place. So there's no manual interaction with this outside of visibility and reporting. What it does is it creates one record for each product and account relationship, and it shows every CPQ transaction that took place. It shows what's currently active, such as active quantity, active status, and active ARR. And the value of this is really a simplified view into what your customers own. Now, it seems straightforward, and you're probably wondering why this isn't a native part of CPQ. Well, CPQ, they actually spit out line level transactions for each subscription. So, for example, let's say your customer purchases product A initially, and then in the middle of that contract, they purchase more licenses, and then they renew that product after the contract ends. CPQ treats that as three separate line transactions for each. And you can see how that cycle can repeat itself. So from a user's perspective, those number of lines can proliferate out very easily and become very difficult to do the math and see, okay, what's their active quantity, status, and ARR. Account product also provides value to other parts of your organization outside of just sales. So particularly customer support, they can utilize these records to track against cases for troubleshooting and entitlement purposes. We've had many implementations where account products are leveraged on the customer community or experience cloud so that customers can log cases in the portal and then select a list of only the products that they owned. And this obviously expedites case routing and troubleshooting. The other benefit of account products, as we see, is that users that don't require or need a CPQ license can still gain access to the subscription data that they otherwise wouldn't see. So if you're a user that isn't regularly quoting customers, you can still see all of this information and we can reduce your license costs there. Up next is ARR change events, which is our add-on to account products. It involves another object and automation that tracks the sequential change in ARR based on when those transactions from account products become active or not. Importantly, this tracks changes when subscriptions do not renew, which is a primary source of churn. CPQ by itself does not track products that don't renew. It only tracks products that you do renew. So without this mechanism in place, it's very hard for companies to track churn at the level that they need. We use this data to then track period over period reporting. So for example, month over month or quarter over quarter, whatever those start and end dates may be, we could track those ARR changes, which can then be used to determine net retention rate. Additionally, you can report up the chain of these transactions and gain insight into other details such as opportunity owner or account industry, whatever that data may be, and you can use that to slice and dice your reporting. And then finally, this product does not only work when we go live with ARR change events, we can run automation that actually applies this to all of your historical subscription data so that you can look back and track all of your historical data from a changes perspective. Okay, this slide illustrates the definitions of what we call new versus cross-sell versus upsell ARR and so on, so that you have a clear understanding of the scope and context. I'll preface this that these are the most common classifications of ARR that our clients ask for, but it's totally plausible for you to perhaps tweak these definitions, and we can definitely help with that in an implementation. But what we have here is the total change in ARR for each change event, and it's broken down and equals the sum of its parts. So the sum of its parts equal the total change in ARR for that change event. So new ARR, this is pretty straightforward. It'll track the full ARR for that transaction if the customer is a prospect. Next, we get into cross-sell ARR, and this is a configurable component based on if you even need to include it or not. But many companies define it as the full ARR of the line if you sold it into an existing company, an existing customer, but also in a new product family. And this attribute of product family can be configurable as well. So if you define cross-sell as any new product SKU or any new product in, say, a product line or a line of business, whichever product field that you have in your org that you want to use, you can use that instead. Next is ARR, is upsell ARR, which is any positive change in quantity, and it doesn't hit the definitions of either new or cross-sell. Downsell ARR is similar, except it's the negative change in quantity, but as long as the quantity is still greater than 0, which means that they still have access to that product. Churn ARR is the negative change in value, and it fully cancels, which means it drops to 0 quantity. There are additionally multiple layers of churn that we track here as well, such as 1, did the churn result from a midterm cancellation, or did it result from them not renewing the product? And then 2, was the churn also the full churn of the customer count, or was it just the churn of the product? So both of those additions can be helpful for understanding the context of churn. Finally, price change ARR. This is typically in the context of renewal price uplift. So we break that out as a separate category. Okay, next what I'll do is I'll actually jump into Salesforce just so that you can see this record data and how it looks in your org. So this is just an example of, here we're on an account. As you can see, they've had multiple opportunities, multiple quotes, contracts that have taken place so far. And really, we're trying to gain access into their account product information. So we have those records here. I'll click on one of them. And you can see this is the one record for this product, for this one account. You can see it's currently active. Here it's rolling up the active annual recurring revenue and active quantity. And those are a result of these account product transaction records. It's a result of them if they're active or not, based off the start and end dates of those lines. And this account product transaction data is really a one-to-one mapping from your subscription data on these contracts. So for example, in this contract, these are the actual CPQ subscriptions that exist for that contract that are used in your CPQ system, and then it maps that over as line for account product transactions. So what's happened here is there's kind of 2 different contracts here, different start and end dates. So this is rolling up, what's currently active, so the sum of the quantity is there. And then we get into the ARR change event at the bottom, and this is tracking that pure change in ARR went as a result of these transactions. So initially is that quantity of 1, go forward ARR 100, that's also the change. And then because of that additional 4, that increased ARR by 400. If I click into these, you can also just see that breakdown ARR classifications here. So this for this transaction, this was actually previously a customer, so this is an add-on purchase. So this is calling that out as upsell ARR. And then the other one, this would also be upsell ARR because we increased it by 400. But we do have those other categories here, for other types of transactions that I won't go into uh, all of the different types of transactions in CPQ, as that could take a while, but you can see the framework there, and I hope that was helpful. Okay, next I'll go into reporting. So this is a dashboard that we have that illustrates the different types of reporting that you can get out of this data and out of the box when we implement ARR change events. Its focus in this dashboard is specifically period over period reporting. And in this example, we're looking at the month of September. So what's the starting ARR, the ending ARR, and the breakdown of the ARR changes that took place in that period. So you can see the totals on the right hand are a reflection of the total ARR changes that I talked about in the definition slide. And then the lower left-hand report is showing the trend of change in ARR, and which is this one's showing it month over month. Which some companies, they may refer to this as a snowball report, others call it a waterfall report. You can definitely change the name and parameters of these reports. Additionally, if you do currently have a BI tool or data warehouse that stores this type of data, you can feasibly leverage these new record data that we've talked about and pull those in if you need to. Okay, so reporting is great, but what is needed for you to gain access to what's needed for you to gain the most value of these tools? So first, you'll need a subscription management tool. So either Salesforce CPQ or CPQ Lite. We won't go into detail of CPQ Lite right now, but it is another custom SaaS CPQ product that is a lightweight version of CPQ if you're interested and you're not ready to make the leap to full blown CPQ. But either way, you also need to be using the full extent of your CPQ tool, meaning that you process new sales, amendments, including any downsells, upsells, that type of amendment transactions, and also renewals, all of that in Salesforce. So, for example, if you only process new sales and handle everything else in a separate system, such as your ERP or NetSuite tool, these tools that we've talked about prior to this would provide little value since you're only recording a portion of your transactions in Salesforce. And then, as mentioned before, ARR change events is an add-on to account products. So you need both of them together to see everything I've talked about. Alternatively, you can just purchase account products if you don't want the ARR change events module. And that concludes our walkthrough. So thank you for your time and interest.